everyone, welcome to the Krista Rose Love channel. Today I'm going to talk about how to maintain healthy hair while traveling. Before I get started, I want to let you guys know that I actually have a second YouTube channel. It's called Beautiful Life Today, and it's on mind and body, mental health, pretty much a channel on how to live a more joyful life. So I'm really excited about it. I definitely encourage you to check it out and subscribe. I actually already did my first video on that channel, so I'll put the link to that channel in the links below as well. Alright, so my first tip is on how to find a hairdresser when you are traveling. My number one key tip with that is word of mouth. You don't want to solely rely on internet research. In certain states, for example, in the US, you can actually just go online, find a whole bunch of hair salons and pick from that, but word of mouth is absolutely crucial when you're traveling. I remember, for example, when I was working in South Korea, I wanted to make sure I found a really good hair salon that I could go to. So I pretty much looked out for black people. I heard that there was an American Army base in Itaewon, so I remember going out to Itaewon and seeing some black women walking down the street. So I stopped them and started up a conversation. And one of the questions that I asked them was if they knew of any great black hair salons in the area. So they mentioned one in particular that they both went to, and it was really great advice because when I went there, the customer service was amazing. I loved how my hair turned out, and it's just really great to get word of mouth, really great references for where to go. Another great example that I have about finding a hair salon is when I was working in Geneva, Switzerland, and I was having a conversation with somebody. During the conversation, I asked them where they got their hair done, so they referred me to a really great hairstylist. And so when I went there, again, great customer service, my hair turned out beautifully. A key thing to keep in mind if you're going to a hair salon in a country where the language is not your native language, you want to make sure that you study the key terms that you're going to need to use in those hair salons. So for example, I made sure that I knew the terms for, relaxer, ooh, it's burning, just like anything that I probably need to know for during my visit. So even though I knew a good amount of French, I still made sure to study up on certain key terms that I figured I'd need to know when I was in Geneva at the hair salon. And I definitely made sure I studied up on some key terms in Korean to make sure I was comfortable speaking with the hairstylist. Even though they spoke perfect English, I still wanted to make sure I walked in there with certain knowledge of the language, so I was comfortable talking to everyone. But yeah, great experiences overall. My next tip is becoming self-sufficient with your hair. You really want to consider becoming self-sufficient with your own hair if you're traveling someplace and you're going to need a chemical treatment, for example, but you're not comfortable finding a hair salon there, or there is no hair salon to go to, which could easily be the case in certain places. So for example, if you have to do a relaxer and there's no place around you where you can get a relaxer done, you really want to know way ahead of time how to process your own relaxer, and you don't want to wait until you get to the place before you actually do the relaxer. You want to have several instances ahead of time where you've actually successfully done your own relaxer, it turned out well, your hair didn't break off, like none of that. A good thing to keep in mind though is that there are certain chemical treatments that you may not be able to pull off on your own. So for example, if you get Japanese thermal reconditioning, for example, you may not be able to pull that off by yourself, so you want to talk to your hairstylist and make sure that you work out a plan with them, figure out the best way for you to manage your hair, even though you may not be able to get access to that type of treatment for a while. My next tip is master the art of stretching your chemical treatments if possible. So for example, if you get a relaxer and let's say you're going to be away for like 3 months and you can stretch your relaxer for about 6 months, you might want to consider getting your relaxer right before you go, and you won't even have to think about getting a chemical treatment, your relaxer, while you're abroad or away from home. But you don't want to figure out how to stretch your relaxer and manage your new growth while you're in the new location. You want to be comfortable with stretching for that amount of time way ahead of time, so you're not trying to figure all that out while you're away from home. Another great thing to keep in mind is not experimenting with hair products while you're abroad. If I don't know what it is, I'm not touching it. I need to make sure that I'm comfortable with the ingredients and so forth. And especially if you're looking at a product where it's in another language that you don't understand, stay away from it. It's nice to look at, but don't put it in your hair. Alright, electricity and converters. Make sure you know what the voltage differences are in the place that you're going to, and you want to make sure that you get the right converter for your hair tool so you're not surprised when you see the socket and your hair tools don't fit into the socket when you get there. Something that happened to me, it's actually pretty funny. Well, wasn't funny at the time, but when I went to France, I went to the south of France, and I remember I had some extensions in my hair. I think I had like a weave or something. I put it in my hair just to, you know, have fun with my hairstyling at the time. I remember turning on my flat iron, and when I put the flat iron through my hair, it actually took off a little bit of the weave. It actually stuck to the flat iron. And I'm thinking to myself, what did I do? Oh my gosh. And it just happened to be that the flat iron got really hot there. So I learned that the voltage was different, and I figured out a way to deal with my hair and how to style it. But you know, long story short, it's important to know voltage differences so your hair doesn't get eaten up by your hair tools and so forth. Also keep in mind low maintenance hairstyles. Buns, ponytails, braid outs really work well when you're traveling. You really want to consider low maintenance hairstyles when you're on vacation, because you don't want to be fussing with your hair while you're trying to get out and about and have fun. I mean, the last thing you want to be thinking about is how to have a cute style when you're, you know, doing really cool adventurous things. So, you know, really stick to protective styles while traveling, and your hair will thank you for it. So that's just a sample of my healthy hair care tips while traveling. You can find the full list of all of my tips on Cafe Belle. I'll put the link to that article below this video. That's it. Thanks for watching. More videos are on the way, so stay tuned.